welcome Exiles. If you remember last video, I was talking about how I wanted to swap over to Guardian. I was going to get some higher investments on this thing, and I really wanted to push Forbidden Red Soul Sacrifice to make it work. Unfortunately, there is a very critical flaw in my character that I kind of knew about, but didn't realize the gravity of how severe it really was. Now, I'm wearing a chest piece. This chest piece says, chaos damage does not bypass your energy shield while not on low life. And my plan for that was, if I have faster recovery of my life pool than the amount of life I spend, then I can afford to continue to cast as long as I continually stay above low life. So the idea is, this skill costs me 93 life. That takes me down to 690, which is more than half of this, so I'm not on low life. And if I recover the life, which I will with our life recharge per second, I have 1,000, which is way more than my cast speed, which is 0.13, which means I spend 93 life every quarter of a second. And in a quarter of a second, I'm regenning or recharging over 250. So I have plenty of sustain to never go below low life. There are a few things that brick this. Number one that I knew about was something like Seer's Ground, Maven, Degen Laser, the things that disable recovery. This stuff was stuff that I was like, okay, I'll just avoid those. I'll just not roll maps with Awakener, Seer's Ground. Because what happens is, the second I hit one of those things that stop recovery, I cast twice. So I cast once, I go to 690 or whatever, just above at low life. I cast the second time, I go to low life. And then on the third cast, I am dead. Because that makes all of the self-damage from this, which is 40% of 23,000, goes and hits my life pool, which one-shots me. That's essentially what happens when I do that. Now, the big issue here is, there is something that I didn't realize that can occur on any map at any point that I completely forgot about it, and that is the Executioner mob type. So if you ever see a rare monster that has a red circle going around it, this is something that can just randomly occur on rare monsters, and what it does is it prevents recovery above 50%. What that means is, if I start to you'll see I get down to 11,500 and then I start recovering again. If I spend myself down to 50%, I'm technically on low life at that point, which means this also prevents my life recovery. So I cast once, you'll see I go to 690, I'm not on low life, I cast twice, and now I'm dead because I spent the money, or I spent the life. I guess it was 2 casts that kills me, not 3 casts, because the second cast puts me in low life, which then makes the self-damage PK my character. You have committed suicide. For me, I'm okay with the hole in a build where it's something you can avoid. For the most part, like, you know, say it's something like Seer's Crown. Okay, whatever. I just don't stand on it. I don't really run Awakener when I have this character. That's okay. You know, if there's some flaw you can specifically avoid and it's not something that really blocks you from much content, I'm okay with that. Maybe it's, for example, you're a low life build, you can't run the coal mod on Expedition. Just don't roll it. Just place your explosives around where that is. Stuff like that. But this flaw in this character, I can't avoid. It can occur at any point. A rare monster runs up to me and happens to have that mod, and I cast twice and I instantly kill myself. And man, is it a real feels bad situation when I completely forgot that rare monster mod exists, and it completely bricks this character because I can't use this low life chest mod. Basically, I wanted to go kind of high investment. I wanted to do a cannot bypass while on low life chest piece with some really good ES sustain, along with the aura effect scaling and less damage per. You can get around this by, you know, just wearing a shavs like I was before, or even going for yeah, it's pretty much just shavs. You have to have I guess you could use Coruscant Elixir if you force in Balbala and force Coruscant Elixir uptime. But Coruscant Elixir can also sometimes randomly be canceled by the Tormented mod. Very rare. That one I don't feel like is that big of a flaw in a build because of how rare it occurs. I've played Coruscant Elixir builds, I don't know, I want to say 10 to 20 times at least. And I think I've died to that Tormented mod over all those characters' playtime, maybe once, maybe twice. It's very rare I run into that Tormented mod and it PKs me, because not only does it have to have that mod, It has to successfully hit me, which means I like if I kill it quickly, like it doesn't hit me or whatever. And on top of that, it has to deal some chaos damage combined with successfully hitting me. It's very rare that monster mob type ends up killing my Coruscant Elixir builds. So that one I'm okay with. But this Executioner mob, this can occur like every other map. You're going to run into it a lot. You're going to run into it all the time. Rare monster modifiers, they're all over the place. It is definitely a common occurrence. It took me 2 maps to find a monster with this mod. I did a beach before this, and then I did this beach. Granted, I was using a Nemesis Scarab to add 2 additional mods, so I made it a little bit more common. But the point is, it's too big of a flaw in a build of randomly dying to want to pursue it. It put a bad taste in my mouth. That being said, somebody mentioned in the last video about doing, a lot of people want to suggest Searing Purity, for example, which is the uber version of Forbidden Flesh and Flame for Templar. For those of you that don't know, it makes you take 90% of your chaos damage is fire and lightning, which means if I'm scaling max fire and lightning res like I am here, and I combine it with a belt called Graven's Secret, you actually get elemental damage recoup. So it's one way of forcing recoup into a build for Energy Shield is Graven's Secret, but it only is elemental damage, so you have to do Searing Purity to convert that damage to elemental to then recoup from it. Now, my issues with this are twofold. Number one is it kind of bricks our crit scaling. If I wanted to go into investing into power charge generation or whatever, I could no longer get power charges. If I wanted to still get power charges, I'd have to go Ralakesh, so I'd be sacrificing 2 gear slots of ES scaling or opportunity cost there, so it's pretty large. I think it might be able to work where you could pull off Forbidden Rite of Soul Sacrifice, maybe in that case, but I wasn't too inclined or wasn't wanting to do it. So that is the option that is there. My big hesitations for that is, as a build creator, I'm usually pretty hesitant to use the uber versions of the Forbidden Flame and Flesh because they are much, much rarer. And so in order to justify using those, it has to be a pretty high-end build, in my opinion, which I guess at this point I was throwing out the budget window and I was going to go more high-end into it. But still, you get the point I'm trying to make, is that I didn't really want to swap out the gear and sacrifice the ES scaling and then sacrifice my Forbidden Flesh and Flame, which is another ES sacrifice. And like at the point of doing all of that, I might as well just be the regular Forbidden Rite and scale some life and go like, recoup in that route is what basically that's what my mind was thinking. If I really want the big ES scaling, I can't force in Searing Purity, lose my good belt, lose my good boots, but maybe it would have been fine, and maybe I was worried about nothing. So if you want to try Forbidden Rite of Soul Sacrifice, maybe Searing Purity, maybe give it a try. But as for the low life chest mod, there's a very critical flaw in killing yourself, and you're going to need to use Chevrons as well. But anyways, this was a build where I was just wanting to try to make Forbidden Rite of Soul Sacrifice work because it's kind of cool. It's a little bit different. Very hard to deal with that life cost in ways to make it not PK your character. If you could get around the life cost, CI would be insane with this. But as of right now, I'm kind of convinced it might just be better off to use regular Forbidden Rite, go CI, and really get a big ES number, opposed to doing Searing Purity and trying to fix the recovery, if that makes sense. Because, like, the amount of ES scaling you hold yourself back is significant. I mean, it's the difference in maybe potentially double the ES number. I don't want to say it's that much, but it could be close to that much in terms of how much ES scaling you could get, as well as the opportunity cost of doing something like a Mage Blow, which allows you to go max res scaling, allows you to go crit a lot easier, onslaught cast speed, a lot of these other scaling factors that equate to how much damage you actually deal. Because the only real difference between Forbidden Rite, Soul Sacrifice, and Forbidden Rite is deal 15% of your base ES is chaos versus 5%. So it's triple the base damage. But the thing is, you start to make that number up when you A, can have, double the ES, B, can have other scaling factors, stuff like that all adds in and starts to negate whatever advantage this skill does have in its base damage to begin with. So anyways, just a short little video talking about the critical error I made in this character in the thought process of I just completely forgot about the Executioner mod and what that means for PKing my character. I was aware that, if I stand on Awakener Desolation Ground, it turns off my recharge for a couple seconds and that will PK me. And I was like, okay, I can just avoid that map mod. But there are some things that I can't avoid, like the Executioner 50% life prevention recovery thing. So anyways, yeah, that's the video. Hope you guys enjoy. I decided I'm working on doing a small group found league with Arrow. He's doing a softcore one this time, which I'm more down to grind out because it's more chill. I don't want to try that hard to survive. And so we're going to try doing a Gagarf take 2. I have a timeline of when I want to complete this by, which will be before the They're going to do a reset league for Settlers of Kalguur with extra loot, and I'm probably going to want to play that. So we have about 6 or 7 days to see what we can do with this character, and I think I might do a daily update on it. We'll see if I end up getting around to that or not, of the progress of making a Garf in a small group found league with basically, not much loot there and having to mostly self-farm a lot of it. So anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed. As always, thanks for watching, Exiles. Take care, and peace out. Have a good one.